Well, hello and welcome to Binge Watch, the podcast where we take a look at the hottest new TV and film releases on streaming television platforms. I'm Hannah Fernando, the group editor of Woman and Woman at Home magazine.
And I'm Ian McHugh, writer on TV and Satellite Week, TV Times and What's on TV magazines. And today we're looking at the new releases that will be available on Friday the 22nd of November 2024. Including Lesley Manville and Tim McMullen as sleuths in Anthony Horowitz's new time-hopping literary whodunit, Moonflower Murders, and the explosive new Paramount Plus Western series Landman, set in the Texas oil business and starring Billy Bob Thornton.
And we'll also be checking out Netflix drama A Man on the Inside, starring Ted Danson as a widower turned private investigator, and Only Child, a touching new family comedy starring Gregor and Greg McHugh as a cohabiting father and son. But first, Ian, what is in the news?
Well, Hannah, A, you've got the lurgy, get well soon, and B, in an as yet untitled Disney Plus documentary, the cricketer and broadcaster Freddie Flintoff will reflect on his recovery from his serious car crash in 2022 and his decision to return to the world of cricket. What else is in the news?
Well, music special Katy Perry Night of a Lifetime will air on ITVX later this year, which will be good. Bit of a comeback for her.
We've got a good selection for you this week, as ever, and we are going to start with a new drama series which arrived on Paramount Plus on Monday, the 18th of November. It's called Landman. And here's a clip.
Oil and gas industry makes $3 billion a day in pure profit. And it's only getting bigger. But before any of that money is made, you got to secure the land and manage the people. That's my job. First part's pretty simple. It's the second part that can get you killed.
As we said last week, fear not, Yellowstone fans, because a new series from Yellowstone creator Taylor Sheridan is coming. And this is it. It's called Landman. It's a 10-part drama, and it stars the Oscar-winning actor Billy Bob Thornton. And he plays Tommy Norris, a debt-ridden alcoholic who works as a crisis manager for his billionaire oil baron friend Monty Miller, played by John Hamm from Mad Men. Yes, so it starts in great style. So we don't know it's Tommy yet, but there's this guy sitting with a sack over his head, being held at gunpoint by these drug dealers, and yes, it's poor old Tommy. And what his job is, as he explains, it's almost got a kind of film noirish vibe in terms of the character. He's very kind of world weary. He's seen it all. He's cynical, but he's a guy who gets things done. And basically, he deals with, let's say, the oil company discovers some land that they want to drill. He deals with the kind of the rights to do that with the people who own the lands, but as we see from the first few minutes, it can get him into some pretty serious scrapes. Now, this also features Demi Moore as Monty's wife, Cammy. So good to see her. She was in a film recently, wasn't she, at the cinema? So I like this. I actually prefer this to Yellowstone in a way. I mean, I guess you could compare a little bit Costner's character with Tommy, but yeah, great to see Billy Bob Thornton. He's always good value, and yeah, it's a window into a world that I didn't really know much about, and it gives them the chance to have a kind of crime drama element, and it's got the business element as well. It's got Tommy's personal life. You kind of see him talking to his ex on Zoom. And yeah, I would say if you're a Taylor Sheridan fan, and if you're a Billy Bob Thornton fan, you can't go wrong. What did you think, Hannah?
Well, this kind of piqued my interest because it's my brother used to live in Texas and worked in the oil industry. So it's kind of quite interesting because I think it is. I mean, it's a dangerous industry in some ways. Anyway, without the kind of narrative that this has. So it kind of piqued my interest anyway. I do like a bit of Billy Bob. I think he's really good, and it felt like he's sort of come home to roost doing this. It felt like a really, I don't know, an easy spot for him. It was worked really, really well, and it felt very credible. I thought, it's pretty scary dealing with drug dealers and everything else that's going on and trying to kind of, and that it sort of deals with loads of big issues, doesn't it? Alcoholism, drugs, debt. And all of the kind of the bits in between, which is the relationships and the difficult relationship with children, and I don't know. I felt that it kind of had something for everybody. It wasn't just that sort of drama, that fear factor of the crime and what have you. I thought that it brought quite a lot to the party. So yeah, I'd recommend.
Good stuff. And I've just realised there's a bit of a theme to this week's pod, Hannah, because we're seeing some actors of a certain age performing very well in their prime. And the next offering is no exception. Over on Netflix, we have a new comedy series called A Man on the Inside, which arrived on Thursday the 21st of November. And here is a clip.
This necklace, my client's family heirloom, has gone missing at Pacific View Retirement Community. You would pretend to be a new resident. You're interested in a tour? We are, and be my source.
A man on the inside. I'm in.
Got your phone? Camera glasses? Recorder? Are you just tapping different parts of your body?
Yes, I left everything in my room. I'm just so excited. I'll be right back.
Good to see Ted Danson back, isn't it, doing what he does best. I mean, he really is a lot of fun, and he doesn't disappoint in this. So he plays the role of a lonely widower. I mean, I can't believe Ted Danson is 76. He looks absolutely marvellous. And he's completely lost his zest for life. He's, well, as you do, you lose someone you love. It's just very tricky. Life is not what you expected. And what I didn't realise at first is this is actually based on a true story. So Ted Danson, part, as I say, he's this lonely widower. He just doesn't know what to do with himself. And he sees this classified ad from a private detective, Julie. And he embarks on this new adventure to go undercover in a care home of sorts, an old people's home, however you want to call them. And he has to go in to try and find this heirloom that's gone missing. But right from the beginning, you kind of know that this is going to be wreaked with havoc and catastrophe because, of course, he just finds his zest for life again. He has absolutely loads of fun. He finds him again, but sort of almost forgets that the job at hand, although it's very, very funny in places and silly, there is also a really kind of a theme that I think we can all associate with and understand, because these are people in this home for various different reasons, all bringing something different to the party. And actually, as a home goes, it's pretty amazing. They're having great times. They've got their own stories, and you kind of hear those stories. So I think on lots of different levels, it's really good, and it will appeal to a lot of people. And we don't often have subject matter like this, do we? We don't. We know a lot of us are dealing with these situations or facing these situations and staring them in the face, and it's hard. And this kind of attacks that, but in a comedic way. So yeah, I thought it was good. What did you think, Ian?
It charmed me, I must admit. At the beginning, I wasn't sure, but I really liked it. And of course, I grew up knowing the Cheers era Danson, and he was a real heartthrob, wasn't he, back in those days. He's looking good, as you say, for 76. He's still cool. So he's not kind of playing it as a sort of doddery old pensioner. He's still quite kind of with it and cool and attractive. And yeah, I mean, although the setup is bizarre, so, lonely widower is recruited to be a sort of private investigator in a retirement home. As you say, it's based on a true story. So, the detective who hires him, Julie, she's played by Lila Richcreek Estrada. And episode 1 is great fun because as well as just setting up the characters and his life, he's got a lovely house, by the way. she's kind of training him up, or she's interviewing all these pensioners, and like most of them can't even use the mobile phone, of course. So she selects him, and she's training him to do things like use these kind of spy glasses and to kind of, do surveillance on someone without them noticing. And he's terrible at it. It's really funny. And it's just, it's a feel-good piece, It's just, and what's going to happen, spoiler alert, yeah, he's going to go into the care home and he's going to kind of rediscover his lust for life. And who doesn't like that? So yeah, Danson on great form in this. And it's just a bit different. It's nice. It's a feel-good comedy drama and very nicely played. And it just enchanted me, really. I very much enjoyed it. A bit touch of the old Murders in the Building vibe to this. And yeah, enjoyed it. Yet another veteran actor strutting his stuff in our next offering, Hannah. It's over on BBC iPlayer, where it arrived as a box set on Saturday the 16th of November. Moonflower Murders. And here's a clip.
It's about our daughter. She's gone missing. We think it may be because of one of your books. Atticus Print takes the case.
He was killed in a hotel at a wedding.
That would be a good setting for a book.
Bloodstains on the bridal gown.
Oh, I like that.
So you may have seen Magpie Murders, the whodunit starring the wonderful Lesley Manville. Gosh, she's so busy, isn't she? As a publisher turned amateur sleuth. And Tim McMullen, who's a very highly rated stage actor, as a fictional 1950s sleuth called Atticus Pund. So Susan Ryland publishes these books that feature the Atticus Pund murder mysteries, and these two worlds intertwine in these two series. So I'm not going to try and explain it. Just watch it. You'll get the gist. And it's written by Anthony Horowitz, adapted from his own books, and he, of course, created Foyle's War, yes, which Tim McMullen did appear in. Last time out, Magpie Murders, Susan was solving the murder of the author Alan Conway, played by Conleth Hill, who was the creator of Atticus Pund, and meanwhile, an Atticus Pund murder mystery was playing out in a 1950s book that he'd written, and that comes to life on the screen. So you've got some people playing double roles in both timelines, and there are similarities between the two murder mysteries. It's like a puzzle. It's very clever. Anyway, now the lovely Susan, she's living in Crete, running a hotel with her partner Andreas, when she gets asked to investigate the disappearance of this woman Cecily. Her parents, who are hoteliers in England, come to recruit Susan, and we find out that on Cecily's wedding day there was a murder in the hotel. Meanwhile, Atticus Pund is investigating the murder of a Hollywood actress in the 1950s who also owns a hotel. So do you see what he's doing here? It's very clever. It's just, I think this series, it's great. It's a good whodunit. You've got all these people like Danny Mays playing two different characters. You've got Mark Gatiss guesting again in two different roles. I absolutely love it. And it's got my favourite actor, Lesley Manville. So, yeah, if you haven't seen this, it's highly recommended. It's just done so well. It's an absolute treat. So, yeah, check it out. What do you think, Hannah? Do you like this?
I do. I mean, I don't know that I've got a huge amount more to add, because it is just so clever, isn't it? When people play dual roles like that, quite often I think, oh gosh, I've got to really concentrate to keep up with this now. But you don't with this. It just absolutely works, and I suppose it's testament to the script, but also the people playing. And you say there's some good names in here, aren't there? And they really absolutely nail it. So yeah, it's great. If you haven't seen it, I think you'll really enjoy it.
Well, we're going to finish with a little bit of comedy. It's a new comedy series that arrives as a box set on BBC iPlayer on Friday the 22nd of November. It's called Only Child. And here's a clip.
I see you walking towards me.
Hi, Dad.
For Richard, visiting his dad was never easy.
We're going to the hospital, not the seaside.
Yeah, but you don't know how long we're going to be waiting around for.
The last thing he expected was to stick around.
My generation didn't pay any attention to sell-by dates. We turned it just fine.
There is a bit of a theme, isn't there? Because not only do you say sort of the old actor here, but also the fact that we're sort of talking about programs that are looking at areas of society that we often all have to face, but aren't often talked about or kind of written about or filmed. And this is quite similar in some ways to what we were talking about before, albeit slightly different to Ted Danson's piece. But this is based around a father and son, and looking at how that is from both sides. So you have it is a comedy. I mean, it is really funny in places, but I say it does touch on quite sort of I think things that we all face. So you've got Gregor Fisher and you've got Greg McHugh, and they star as father and son, Ken and Richard. The father is recently widowed, and there's a long overdue kind of period of time that the son needs to go and see him. And when he goes and does see him, in the middle of nowhere in Scotland, really, he realises that his dad's not coping quite as well as he had perhaps hoped or thought. And I think he'd done a good job of kind of making him think that everything was fine. And so this is kind of told through the lens of their relationship. And he needs a lot more help, his dad. He realises quite quickly when he visits him that he needs a lot of help, full-time help, really. And the dad doesn't agree. And, we've all heard it before. Those use-by dates, we used to drink that. It was not a problem. You just smell it. It would be absolutely fine. And the stuff in the fridge that's going off and he shouldn't be using. And it's navigating that very intergenerational relationship, I suppose, that so many of us have to navigate. And they're both really strong-willed characters. The dad, Ken, is very set in his ways. He's a technophobe. He doesn't want to try anything new particularly. And the son, Richard, is really worried about him. And you just see this navigate it, but in a comedic fashion. And I think it's really good because it shines a light on something that is happening to so many of us, where we worry about things and what can you do, and the care system's quite broken, and how do we deal with these things, and going back and living in some instances like he has, going back and staying for a prolonged period of time, and what that's like as well, because it's slightly different to when you were a child growing up with your parents. So I think this is really good, actually, and I think that it because it's a comedy and because it brings a lighter touch to it, it makes it a little bit more palatable. What do you think, Ian?
I enjoyed it. And Gregor Fisher, of course, best known as Rabsy Nesbitt, a wonderful comic character, string vest wearing Scotsman. And Greg McHugh, I loved him in Fresh Meat, which was the undergraduate comedy drama by the creators of Peep Show. It's kind of felt slightly like a series from another age, and I don't mean that in a negative way. And I guess famously, if you think of another series about a father and son living together and kind of rubbing each other up the wrong way. Oh, Steptoe and Son, anyone? That's very old. But anyway, it starts with a great joke. So Richard Pritchard, he's a kind of small-time actor, basically, and he's coming to see his dad, and the dad can't get his tablet to work, and it turns out it's the kitchen scales. It's not his tablet at all. So there's a lot of stuff like that about technophobia, and the dad is slightly losing it, and he's a widower, and his home is chaotic. He's having arguments with all the neighbours. So yeah, it's a nice setup. The two of them are both great. They play off each other really nicely, and I had a chat with them for this, and Gregor Fisher was very funny because, when you ask him things like, oh, why did you want to appear in this series? And he says, well, my accountant told me to do it for the money. So he's good value. He's been on TV promoting this, hasn't he? So, yeah, I thought this was a lovely, quite touching, and had a kind of nostalgic feel about it, but I very much enjoyed it. I hate to say it, Hannah, But we've got to that time where we find out what you've been binge watching.
Like most other people, I imagine, I have been tuning in to I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, because it's back for, I don't know which year this is actually, I've lost count, but it's just as funny, it's just as brilliant. There are some great characters in there, including Colleen Rooney, who at the moment is coming out really quite well, I thought, or I think she is, very, very normal for someone who you wouldn't expect to be very normal. So I really do enjoy that each evening, and it kind of reminds me that Christmas is coming, which brings me on to the fact that I am starting to watch some Christmas rubbish now, Ian. I'm going to warn you. I'm going to put it out there. This is the time when I switch over to find some really awful Christmas movies. And I found one on Amazon Prime for anyone else that loves Christmas movies, any kind of, called A Christmas Karen on Prime. I don't need to say much more about that, but please do have a look. It'll make you laugh and it will make you feel nice and festive. What about you?
I see what they've done there. A Christmas Carol, A Christmas Karen. Well, of course, Hannah, the 3-part documentary Boy Bands Forever on BBC iPlayer. And what a joy it was.
Very sad in places, I thought, Ian, did you?
Yeah, absolutely. And some bands that I'd kind of had forgotten about, but are back performing now, having become disenchanted when they were younger and back doing what they love. So that was nice. Well, new feature this week, Hannah. Check this out. I'm going to do a quick roundup of some other things you might want to keep an eye out for. So on Sky Atlantic, it arrived on Monday the 18th, Dune Prophecy, which is the origins story. There have been 2 recent Dune movies, haven't there, with Timothée Chalamet. So if you're a Dune fan, check that out. Watched episode 1 of this last night, available on BBC iPlayer, The Listeners, which is a terrific drama starring Rebecca Hall about a teacher who starts to hear a strange noise that no one else can hear. Well, some other people can, spoiler alert. Barack Obama narrates Our Oceans, a wildlife documentary on Netflix, which was available on Wednesday the 20th of November. You got After the Party, a New Zealand drama, which is about a woman whose life fell apart when she accused her husband of abusing a teenager. That's on Channel 4 streaming, available now. On Netflix, again, you've got the drama Joy, which is the true story of the first test tube baby. James Norton is in that. And finally, listeners, Blitz on Apple TV Plus, available on Friday the 22nd of November. It's a wartime drama starring the brilliant Saoirse Ronan. Now, we've just got time to look ahead to next week's offerings, so what is on the Binge Watch menu, Hannah?
A thrilling new Netflix drama recounts the life and the tragic death of the F1 icon Ayrton Senna.
Superb. And Betty Gilpin plays a kick-ass nun waging war on technology in the ITVX sci-fi Mrs. Davis. So we look forward to those and much, much more. But in the meantime, listeners,
keep watching.